Hello, good afternoon. Let me just make sure that I am live here. Give me a moment. And we are live. So good afternoon. My name is Carol Buckalew. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Thanks for joining today. Today I have a Christmas card using the Peaceful Deer stamp set. Hi Mary, thanks for joining. And the Peaceful Deer stamp set can be found in the current annual catalog. And hey Rosie, hey Karen. And you might overlook it. It's a single stamp set, but it's got some adorable images in it. A couple of different deer, one laying down, one kind of leaping, a little bunny rabbit, some different size solid image pine trees. And I have an idea for a card using these pine trees. And it's got some really nice Christmas sentiments. So a great little stamp set. There are no coordinating dies, but you know, there's plenty that you can do with this stamp set for sure. I'm also going to be using the largest circle die from the Stylish Shapes die set. And if you don't own these are kind of a must. There's, you know, graduated circle and square dies, as well as 4 different banner dies in this set as well. And then I also use for this card the Bows of Holly 12x12 Designer Series paper and the Distressed Gold 12x12 specialty paper. This paper is gorgeous. I couldn't wait to use this paper on something, so I finally did. Yay. So this is our card, and really quite simple to put together. And I'm going to show you how to do that this afternoon. I get my stuff here. So I have a base of Evening Evergreen, and I just love this color for Christmas. It's just such a pretty green. Set that aside here for a minute. And I've gone ahead and pre-cut a couple of the, you know, the large, using the largest circle die. I have pre-cut a couple of white, you know, basic white circles. I'm rubbing them because I used Post-it tape when I put them through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss, and I can feel residue, and that will kind of mess up my stamping. I've got 2 just in case I mess up one. But I wanted to just give you an idea of what you could do. So it's up to you, you know, how comfortable you are with your stamping. We're going to be stamping the deer and a sentiment on this label, and then we also need to make room for a bow. So, you know, one idea is that you can take the die out and lay it down on the paper, and then go ahead with a pencil and very lightly trace around the inside of that circle to give you a guideline, you know, and you can do your stamping before you die cut it. Or you can go ahead and, I've already die cut the circle, and we'll go ahead and get some stamping done. So we'll see how this works out. I figured I better cut an extra just in case. You know how it goes. So I am using Crumb Cake ink to stamp the leaping deer. And I want to put him pretty close down here to the bottom. There we go, and that's a good image. We'll take that, and we're done with this ink for now. And then there is this adorable little wreath that goes around the deer's neck, and I'm going to stamp that in real red. But it's just adorable, and you have to look at the image because there is a bow. So the image kind of scoops up on each side. That is, you know, this is right side up. But you'll look for the bow. That kind of is an indicator. And I need to pull this to me just a tad here. But I'm going to go ahead and just try and line that up as best I can. Because you're stamping over Crumb Cake ink, the red, you know, it really shows up nicely. So no worries with that. And let me see here. I need my red ink for a sentiment. And this sentiment says, wishing you a wonderful year and friendships dear. And I think that's really sweet. So we are going to ink that up in real red ink as well. And I'm going to stamp the sentiment off. Let me see here. Let's see. I'm going to stamp this off to the right of the circle and a little lower. And just like that. And that's good. And then I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of my stamping out of the way. This is my inside panel. I've got a white panel here. And I am going to stamp in real red, Merry Christmas. Oh, thank you, Mary. Yeah, this is a super cute stamp set. The deer are just so cute. I like the little bunny, too. I'll have to think of how to use him. So I'm going to go ahead and let me make sure that my cardstock's lined up. And try to get this straight. And stamp our inside sentiment, Merry Christmas. Let me see, is that, yeah, that's okay. All right. And let me see here, I can put the red ink away. Try not to get it on myself. Let me clean one of my stamps up here. I keep saying I'm going to get extra stamp blocks and then I forget when I place orders. So I have to clean my stamps in between. And I'll just mount up my little Christmas trees here. And these are solid image trees. And you know, sometimes the photopolymer stamps, you know, you don't get good coverage, but I'll tell you, with the Evening Evergreen ink, you sure get good coverage on these stamps. They stamp really nicely. And I'm going to stamp the smaller set of trees down here on the right, the lower right. And then I'm going to stamp the larger tree on the left and kind of partially off the side here. Just like that. And I'm going to set that aside to dry and grab my envelope. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp on the envelope. And I just touched that stamp. I didn't get ink on me. I'm lucky. Go ahead and stamp the same pine trees onto the envelope front. Just like that. And you can see this large stamp, you know, I stamped just a partial image. It's a good idea to stamp that off before you re-ink it, just so that you don't get a funny line on your second stamping here. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and just stamp that partially on. Okay. Hey Rosie, did I say hi to you? I'm not sure if I did or not. I'm going to go ahead and set that envelope aside to dry. Close this ink up. And we're going to do a little bit of coloring on the deer. And I'm using Crumb Cake Stampin' Blends, our alcohol markers. And, you know, nothing fancy here. Just going to color in with the lighter shade first. And you don't have to worry about losing your stamped line. It actually holds up pretty well. You do kind of have to be careful working around this little wreath, but it's certainly easy enough to do. And I'm just going to make my way around. So we're expecting a delivery this afternoon that requires a signature. So I will, you want fancy, Rosie? Not today, not today. I'll do something though. Pretty soon. Show off my coloring skills. But we're expecting a delivery, and so I'll just apologize now because it's going to get loud probably if the dogs start barking. They just think, they think delivery men are, you know, the boogeyman, I guess. They make sure that we know that there is somebody outside. And we're having nice weather today too. We had really yucky weather last week, and then it cleared up towards the end of last week. And my husband and I got to go away this past weekend. We went to Cape May, New Jersey, which, if you're not familiar with Cape May, it is a small Victorian shore town, and full of old Victorian homes and just authentic, you know, very authentic Victorian. And of course there's a shopping district and restaurants and all of that fun stuff. But we had a real nice time. We go every year, and we meet up with a group of friends that we met at the inn that we stay at. It's just a lot of fun catching up with them and just having a long weekend to just relax. So that was our weekend. It was real nice. So I'm just dropping in the darker shade here under the deer's belly and legs, just to, you know, just to provide a little bit of shadow here. And then I will come back with my lighter blend and just kind of smooth those lines out. And just blend them a little bit. But that just gives him a little definition. Actually, I'm going to come back in with the dark one. I want to go ahead and just barely hit the tops of his ears, just to darken those a little bit. And I'm going to darken his nose and his eye. Just like that. And that is it for the coloring. So very simple. You know, but isn't he cute with the little wreath around his neck? I just love that. So we can go ahead and, so I chose, out of the Bows of Holly DSP, I chose a pine tree pattern, which has the evening evergreen in it. And I think maybe that's old olive and soft succulent. I'd have to look at the colors. That's definitely evening evergreen. But I'm going to go ahead. I cut a band. It's about 1 3/4 wide. And all of the measurements will be actually on my blog today. So you'll be able to, I'll make sure that I link it up when we're done here. And you can visit my blog and grab the tutorial if you'd like. But I'm going to go ahead and adhere this band of Distress Gold specialty paper to my panel of DSP. And I'm just using liquid glue here. I don't want to get too close to the edge because I need to trim that off. And I'm going to put it about 1/3 of the way down that DSP panel and try to get it even. So I'm just kind of offsetting it just for a different look. Make sure that's down good before yeah, it's down good, and I got it crooked. Let's see if I can get it moved. There we go. All right, good. So that is the advantages of using liquid glue. You have just hot second to make corrections if you need to. And I'm just flipping this DSP over, and I'm going to take my snips and go ahead and trim off that excess DSP. There we go. And then we can go ahead and adhere the DSP to the card front. So this is, you know, this was a real quick card to put together. So if you are needing a holiday card, you know, this is definitely an option. When I'm putting this DSP down, I'm just making sure that I have an even edge all the way around my card front, and that looks pretty good. Make sure we've got it adhered good. You know what? Look what I did. I just realized my card is landscape and I stamped the panel portrait. So, can we flip it over and try again? I think we can. Let's give that a go. I do that all the time. I don't know about all of you, but I do it all the time. But, you know, we've got two sides to the paper, fortunately, so we can fix this quickly. So let's try this one more time. And turn the stamp right side up. I'll tell you, it would be a miracle if I could get through a video without messing something up. But you know what? That's how it goes, right? We're all human, and it happens. So that's our sentiment. Merry Christmas. You remake your innards. Yeah, I don't think this is going to show through even with the dark evergreen. I think I'll be all right once I get it glued down. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp our little pine trees here in the corner. Okay. Now I definitely will have to wait for this to dry again, because this ink really does need a couple of extra minutes to dry. I don't want to get it all smeared trying to put it on inside the card, so I'll wait here. Glad I caught that, you know. Well, I guess I would have eventually caught it, but too funny. God is a crafter, that's why there are two sides. You're right, Mary. I think you're right. Okay, well, so we got that fixed. Whew. Okay, I'm going to set this aside for just a minute and give that a chance to dry. And I've got ink here, but I think that is old ink. So I'm going to go ahead and take our circle and flip this over. I'm going to put some Stampin' Dimensionals on. And I cut my Stampin' Dimensionals in half. And I do that. I didn't always do this, but I tend to use a lot. And it's just more economical. And they fit better in small places. So just, you know, something to think. But see, I do use a lot. But just something to think about. You know, you might want to consider it. Because boy, I was really burning through them. All right, and go ahead and take the dimensional covers off, which are always persnickety. They always. It's like they're clinging on, you know, like they don't want to come off sometimes. All right. So is anybody a Phillies fan? We've been watching the Phillies play. I so hope they make it all the way. That would be awesome for them. All right, so really, our deer is leaping, and he kind of could be at any angle. So rather than, you know, put this circle on my card front the way, you know, making the deer look like he's, you know, parallel to the ground, I need to line my sentiment up and make sure that it is straight. And I'm going to go ahead and you know, you could drop this down over the band or bring it up. I think this time I'm going to bring it up just slightly, make sure my sentiment is fairly straight on there, and that looks pretty good. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and put our inside sentiment on the inside of the card. Yeah, so the Phillies were playing the Braves yesterday, and they were ahead like the whole game. And then, of course, at the bottom of the ninth, the Braves got like 3 runs, and I thought, oh no, here we go. You know, they're going to lose it, and they didn't. They managed to win by 1 point, so I was so excited. Our youngest son is a really big Phillies fan too. All right, and just making sure that I have, again, an even reveal around the edge of my panel, and I do, so that looks good. And I'm going to go ahead and this is the gold shimmer ribbon. It's got a bit of heft to it, you know, it's a stiffer ribbon compared to some. Oh, thanks, Rosie. But it ties a nice bow. Let me see if I can get it on the first try. Probably not. Well, we'll see. You said we weren't, Mary. You weren't watching the game, or you weren't rooting for the Phillies. Yeah, you're in Georgia, huh? You were rooting for the other team. That's okay. Just trying to get my bow even here. You know what? Let me try one more time. I've got a funky little end there that wants to fold under. Yeah, you were rooting for the Braves. That's okay. Just kind of feel like the Phillies are due. I really do. We'll see what happens. Okay, that's a little bit better. And I'll just go ahead and snip my ends off here. And I did cut these fairly short just so it wouldn't interfere with our label here. Actually, I can cut this just a tad shorter. And that looks pretty good. I am going to use a mini glue dot to adhere the bow onto the card. And right here on the circle, and just kind of tuck it off to the left here. There we go. So that's the card front and our inside. And let's finish off our envelope. Hey, Faith. No worries. So we had a little Christmas card using the Peaceful Deer stamp set, Faith. Really cute. Cute images. I went ahead and cut a coordinating piece of the Bows of Holly DSP. And again, these pine trees go just really nice with this Peaceful Deer set. And let me go ahead and get this adhered on. And make sure I turn it the right way. If your DSP is directional, make sure you're paying attention. Oh, thank you, Karen. Thanks for joining. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and take my snips. Let me cap my glue here so I can try it out. And take my snips and no naked envelopes. You got it, Mary. You've taught us all well. No naked envelopes. And I'm not the quickest fussy cutter, but I get the job done. Let me see here. Yep. we go. A little bit of trim here. Didn't get quite close enough. There we go. And look, a little spot on my envelope. Something else the wise Mary taught me was to make sure that you have a sand eraser in your arsenal of tools. And oftentimes if you get a little bit of ink where you shouldn't, you're able to get that out. So I will work on that to get that spot out. But this is our finished card. Thank you, Rosie. Little Christmas card using the Peaceful Deer stamp set. And just a really cute, adorable set. If you don't have it, you might want to give it a look. You can find it in the annual catalog. I was reading your comment, Faith. I even get guilt twangs if I fail to DSP on the envelope. Oh, I know, right? You feel guilty. You got to dress that envelope up. Mary taught us well. Oh, thank you, Mary. So that's it for today. If you don't have the stamp set, you might want to check it out. Annual catalog. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon, and I will see you all next week. I'll try to have maybe a fun fold next week for you. All right, y'all take care. Have a good day. Bye-bye.